Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. Today is Saturday, March 30th, 24. It is 4:40 p.m. And I titled this one Accountability. What is it? What does it really look like? And I'm pertaining to my people, black people, African people, Hebrew people, um, indigenous, whatever you want to call yourself. If you got, as y'all would say, melanated skin, I'm talking to you. So, what exactly does accountability look like? And I'm gonna get right into it because I hear us talk about it all the time, right? Males want to hold females accountable. Females want to hold males accountable. Everybody wants accountability, but what does it actually look like? And that's a cliche topic. But you know what make it not cliche? The lack of progress, right? The lack of progress. The lack of us not doing it. That's why I think that's why it's such a discussed circular topic. And it's really bigger than a Diddy situation because this is the week or that this has been going on. And what I'm seeing is the lack of accountability. We already know the screaming Negroes and the talking heads. We already know the little boosies, slim thugs. We already know those lower level energies, the stance they're gonna take. But how do we really expect to we've been in this same spot for they say over 500 years. But I'm gonna say we've been in this spot for at least a good 60, 70 years. This spot of us really not doing anything, not really advancing. And the part that I'm fearful of that we're not advancing mentally because we allow some of the most ridiculous things to go on and go unchecked. So I'm gonna talk to the conscious community, wherever that is. I'm gonna talk to the conscious community for a second because, and I think I was like this like year one. You know how you learn, and Bobby Hemmett would always say, first thing we want to do when we learn something is beat up on some niggas. And I think I was like that in year one, right? To where you learn this knowledge and you want to go out and you want to tell people and you want to get away from religion and you want to talk about all these things. You want to tell people the truth about religion. You want to talk about the origins of Jesus. You want to talk about the color of Jesus. You just want to shout at everybody because you learned something new. And you're excited, so you want to. It's kind of like the character on Minister of Society, Sharif. And Kane was like, why are you coming at us like this every day? He was just so excited to learn that he wanted to share the knowledge with his brothers and his people around him. So I can get that. That's cool. But once you out of year one and you're a quote, especially if you're a quote unquote vet in this, and we still do like the same circular things because we're on this basic level of knowledge, right? Every year we're still talking to people, and I said this in one of my last videos. We're still talking to people about Black people celebrating St. Patrick's Day. We're still talking to people about Black people celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're still talking to them about all of these things. Fair game. I'm always going to say fair game because the reason I don't think we shouldn't stop trying to spread information on that because there's always somebody new that has never heard what you have to say. But the problem to me comes in with the attitude and the superiority complex, as if you know so much more and you're so advanced. But to get to the point, how come when it comes to us and people in the conscious community, you're still kind of like under that same religious banner or that dogmatic banner, right? And what are you talking about, Obasi? And look, again, whenever I tell y'all something that's gonna trigger y'all, it's like that old song. I forget who that used to be on the Tupac song. He said, "If you're scared, go to church." So if you're scared, go to church. How come we've allowed Umar Johnson to talk, to talk, to talk, to talk? I see tons of videos being spreaded by my people that's supposed to know and be on this accountability train, right? We're not getting away from accountability. And he's a professional diagnose, So we talk about how in the Ma'afa 21 video, they talked about how they used how Margaret Sanger and the eugenics, how they knew that they had to get the ministers on board to get the people on board to understand or be down with eugenics, so to speak, right? And not make it look like a bad thing. So they would use these reverends. And that's why the great nunna Bobby E. Wright would say that's why you hear the Reverend Andrew Young, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, because reverend is also reverence. So they get you to have this reverence or this respect for this figure. But this figure is already controlled, right? They're from a controlled opposition, basically is what they're saying. Once you are in that religious, you're under that religious dogmatic mentality, right? So we can understand the reverend and how the reverend is used. But what about these doctors? Y'all say Dr. Umar, I'm gonna say I call him Umar. Dr. Umar, Dr. Umar, the doctor. Doctor this, doctor that. And he's been allowed for almost 15 years to play in our faces. Right? Listen to me. Listen to understand and not respond. Listen to not get in your emotions and get tuned off with what I'm saying. Because if you're conscious and you're still looking at him as a leader, you just like the religious people you're trying to talk about. You just like grandma and them and auntie and them that's going to church, that love their pastor. You better not say nothing about their pastor. Do not have this pastoral mentality, right? And this is a real dialogue. I want y'all to dialogue with me. Do not get in your emotions. I have to keep repeating this. Give me real dialogue. Don't give me attitude. This is not WWE. We do not need the attitude era. We need the understanding era. Why is he allowed to play in our faces like this? Why is he allowed to talk about himself as if he is the grand and end all be all and the top Pan Africanist all over the world and not produce one thing? Produce an abandoned building, and you guys say, well, he got the building. Look at it. Right? How come when you have brothers like myself, other brothers and other sisters that see clearly what's going on, and we say something, first thing y'all say, y'all tear the black man down. We have to rise above this. This is what's keeping us hurt, y'all. Not me telling the truth. And let me ask this question: is it me for talking about it or them doing it? We have to rise above this. You tearing the black man down. And we have to look at what the black male is doing, or in this case, not doing. Now, let me ask another question. What if your dear sweet grandmother, your mother, whatever mother or whatever person that you love was following this pastor, and this pastor was taking up money, and he was saying all of this about this church he's building, and he never produced? How would you guys feel? Did you hear what I said? What if there was this? What if there was this pastor, and let's say your grandma, your aunt, whoever, your uncle, your dad, your granddad, whoever you love, whatever person you want to put, and they were so engulfed in following this pastor. And this pastor is saying he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's the preacher of all preachers. He got the message. But he never produced nothing really. He produced a book. He produced a building. But they never even have service in the building. It's a status symbol. It's a symbol of hope. And y'all know, if y'all been listening to my stuff, what Dick Gregory say about hope, you don't hear nothing about no motherfucking hope. I hope you pay your light bill. Why do we allow this? Why is this allowed? Real talk. Why do we allow fancy talkers to come in and just wow us? I know why. But I would like to hear you guys' input on why we allow fancy talkers to come in and sway us, and they continue to do it. They're a dime a dozen. But, and Dale Jones, I always talk about Dale Jones. He created a book called Culture Bandits. Very good book. You should listen to some of his lectures. And he defined them as black power pimps. He said, I come from a long line. I understand a long line of black power pimps. They come in and they get everything all stirred up and they produce nothing. How is it we don't see it? I want to know real answers. What are we supposed to do? Because we talk about coming together, right? We say black people need to come together. We talk about how the Jews stick together. We talk about how the Asians stick together. We talk about how every race sticks together but us, correct? Why can't we? In my opinion, whose opinion? My opinion. Because we can't solve problems. As the great Amos Wilson said, culture solves problems. So if we know a pedophile is in the community, I want answers from you guys. What are we supposed to do? Again, I'm talking about from the date that I'm talking about this whole Diddy fiasco. And I'm seeing a lot of brothers and sisters, or females and males, that's kind of turning the head and saying, you know what's bothering me? And I think I spoke about this. Check. You know what's bothering me about this? Is that I'm hearing so many, we deflect, right? Deflection solves nothing. Deflections is traits of narcissism. Narcissists. I hear this word 2,000 times a day, give or take. Narcissist, 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 narcissism, narcissism. God dang, it's overused. And I'm seeing I want to know how many people have actually seen the Quiet on the Set movie, documentary. And I keep seeing the same meme pop up saying, oh, they want to distract you from this right here. The fat white boy, Dan Snyder, they want to distract you from this. They want to use Diddy. What are we supposed to do? Because culture does what? Solve problems. So let me hit you with another point of view. How would it look like an Asian man checking black men? What would it look like Mexicans checking Germans? Mexican crimes and wrongdoings is going down, right? and they're talking about a German. How does that look? Does it make sense what I'm saying? These are things we have to stop. We look at white savagery at the wrong times. We're always looking at it from a reactionary standpoint. Whenever a black male has been caught up for his misdeeds, we always talk about, oh, well, why didn't they do this to them? If you know your enemy, and I said this in another video, if you know your enemy like you proclaim, do you expect them to? And I get it, because I had a good brother that said, he says, that's not what I'm saying, Obasi. He says, I'm saying, why do they slander us and put us all over the media? Because they need a fall guy. Because they told you the white boy is the all-American hero, right? G.I. Joe, real American hero. What have they labeled the Arab? The terrorist. They label them terrorists. They label us thieves. They label us all of these things. Because that's the identity that they've attached. So would you expect them, really? And I get it, because I did it. I do it. I did it when it came to Ja Morant. And I said, how many people are going to attack Ja Morant? Why is nobody saying anything about Josh Giddey and his alleged with this underage girl? How come it's not being talked about? How come Kristaps Porzingis is not being talked about? How come Ben Roethlisberger is not being talked about? Would you use your media to incriminate yourself and your people? Especially if you have imprinted in the minds that they are the superior ones. That surely white people don't do anything wrong. It's all us. You know, the white ice is cold. One thing about white folks, one thing, because they have imprinted in your mind that they are supreme. So would you really, how long are we going to ask these, I'm not even going to say open-ended questions, pointless questions? Doesn't mean they're invalid, but if you know your enemy, you understand. In our growth, in our elevation of self, we know these things more and more. But more importantly, the question is, okay, let me ask you this, because I want real dialogue under this when you guys see this video. If we were, because like I said, I talked about the Ninth Circle. I talked about that so-called rotten queen of England and what they were doing with those children. I talked about this thing called the Franklin scandal or the Franklin cover-up. I've talked about a lot of things that these Eurocentrics or Westerners have done on this. I've tried to show you for several years the person behind the curtain. I've got on here and I've told you about social learning theory. I've told you about the Tavistock Institute. You have no interest in hearing it because guess what? I'm not flashy. I'm not telling you to hit them cash apps. I'm not sitting up here talking about you know your hair follicles. When you do this, it creates this. Not saying that that stuff is invalid, but how can we use it in growing our people? We use a whole bunch of fluff and call it knowledge. A whole bunch of things that when it comes down to growing us as a whole, it doesn't really matter. But why have we been conditioned? I know why. Why have we been conditioned not to hold each other accountable? So back to my question that I want to ask. Let's say we do. Okay, let's say because this Quiet on the Set documentary is still going. So as of right now, we don't know what Dan Snyder has or hasn't done. But at this point, he didn't penetrate any children so far. So let's just say from y'all point, because I'm seeing everything pop up. Well, they covering it up to keep from telling y'all that, you know, they just said that Jesus was black. If you read a book, you already know this. But okay, get to your question. My question is, if we were to, let's just say, because racism and power is the ability to define, the ability to sanction, the ability to convict and hold accountable, right? So when Kanye West said what he said, did those Jews not hold him accountable? Did he not face consequences? What is the consequence for treason or misbehavior in this black community? Candace Owens just got fired, right? She talked all of that stuff for years about us. It was an incentive, because there's an incentive to talk about your own. That's why so many people sign up for it. The moment she talked about those small hats and certain components, power. So if we were to talk about Dan Snyder, if we were to talk about how can we hold them accountable? How can we hold them accountable? If we can't hold us accountable, how can we hold them accountable? Oh, y'all actually think they're going to turn over Clive Davis? Small hat. Y'all actually think they're going to turn over their ones that keep it going? Is this what we're expecting? Because that means you're looking for equality. Justice, freedom, and equality. Sound like Dr. King to me, huh? But nah, y'all don't, because y'all have pressure with Dr. King. Dr. King is the worst thing ever. So if we were to talk about white indiscretion or white savagery or white barbarism, however you want to call it, how can we hold them accountable? Are you guys willing to protest? Are you guys willing to walk off your jobs to get the results? What are we willing to do as a whole to get the results that we're saying we want? Because it becomes circular. So it's going to take Umar to get caught up in a scandal to fall. Now, mark my words and listen to me. And when he does, watch the people that don't hold him accountable and say, "Oh, well, he was about to do this, or he was about to do that." See, y'all happy to see him fall. No, I'm not. I just know you can only play a game for so long. Every game must end, right? As Geno Jennings say, am I right? Every game must end. You buy a new game for your system, you master it, you beat it, right? If you're not doing right, it's only inevitable. What's that old saying? What's done in the dark, you know the rest. And that doesn't mean, and you know, I hate to even have to do this, but that doesn't mean I'm on a high horse or I'm perfect. I have issues too. But we must allow us ourselves as Black people, melanated people, indigenous people, whatever you want to call yourself. I'm not even into arguing over these labels anymore, because we argue so many minuscule things why we can't move the ball forward. And here's my personal favorite that y'all say, "Oh, it's a distraction." It's a distraction. Diddy is a distraction. Cat Williams telling all that truth he did is a distraction. Well, what is the Super Bowl? and those $1 million of commercials that they spend. What is the NBA Finals? What is the NBA season? What is LeBron versus Jordan? Distractions. But what it is when a black male or a nigga, because there are levels. A good book to read, From Niggas to Gods. From Niggas to Gods. When a black male or a nigga is being held accountable, we get up here and say that. Lil Boosie gets up there with that white stuff in the corner of his mouth, screaming. Just because you screaming, it doesn't make nothing you're saying even more right or more wrong. How can we advance it? This is what I want to talk about. You can feel what you want to feel about my message, but how can we advance it? We've been at 4th and 29 for the last 15, 20 years. And we're going to have to just slang it. We're going to have to just Hail Mary that thing. I don't want to say hope, because we know what I say about Dick Gregory and hope. But we can't keep sitting in this same position. And then the circular and the misunderstanding in you is you get upset and dog your people. And again, I've told you about the Tavistock Institute. I told you about B.F. Skinner. I've told you about Edward Bernays. I've given you names. I've given you sources. Umar Johnson doesn't give out sources. He tell you he's talking about him all the time. He always diagnosed and talking about what we do. He's not really digging into the psychosis of what make us buy all of these cars. He's running around talking about a snow bunny crisis. I see a snow bunny. He's become a joke under these colors right here. And as a black man that has his mind and sees what's going on, because of how your emotions are, I can't say anything. I'm supposed to be blind, deaf, and dumb to injustice, to taking advantage of the people, to coming in and getting that bag and going on to the next city. He's been opening up this school since he was Umar Abdullah. Now he Ifa Tunde. He'll change names. And y'all say time. How much time do you need? You can do an after school program, but what he got y'all mind controlled at, because he's very good at psychology. He's got you looking at this whole big grandiose thing that he gonna do. You know, I'm old school. I'm old school. I'm 80s and 90s, and I grew up watching Sanford and Son with my family. And I remember this one episode that they had this. Fred had a family member. It was a woman that came to live with them, and she would always play sick. She was faking the whole time, and she would always promise. She would say, "Oh, when I feel better, I'm gonna make y'all the best dinner. I'm gonna make you the best breakfast, pancakes, and everything." And she never got around to it because she was faking the whole time. That's what I think about. But accountability. When a black male is not taking care, or a nigga is not taking care of his children, I don't hang around dudes that don't take care of their children. I don't hang around deadbeats. I have no deadbeat friends. Females, do you hold your lady friends accountable? How long can you continue to make these bad choices? And then when we tell them to pick better, when we tell both sides, but mainly when we tell females to pick better, they say, don't say that. You give all these excuses and say, well, how was we supposed to know he was about this or he wasn't about this? Discernment. Especially if you're 40. I'm 42 years old. I can kind of see when the female is on a different type of energy, right? Because everybody say they looking for their soulmate, right? You're looking for your soulmate, but you're using all fleshly qualifications to get that soul. You're looking for a spiritual connection, only looking at the flesh. Accountability. If he didn't take care of his last 5 children, why would you give him a 6th and hope? There go that word again, hope, that he gonna do it this time. Not saying you can't in this next statement, but if you met her in the club dancing, and why would you try to change her and get upset about her? You met her there. Certain things we have to learn from our experience. Holding each other accountable. Hey, you can't do that. And guess what? Before I end, I'm gonna say this. We always say when I bring up consequence, there's always this kind of tensing up, right? Because consequence doesn't mean physicality. It doesn't mean physicality. It can mean not associating with somebody, not affiliating yourself. But we can't keep carrying on like this. We can't keep pointing the fingers. We've been pointing the fingers and saying, well, what about them? Well, what about them? Well, what about Elvis? Fuck Elvis. Elvis is dead. What are they supposed to do? Hmm? How can you hold a dead man justice? How can you get justice from a dead man? And again, it's no knock on nobody. But I'm trying to tell you, think about the things we're expecting from devils. If we know all these things and we know they lack compassion, we know they lack any type of real human instincts, what are we really expecting? But the bigger question, and I'm about to wrap it up, is what do you expect from you? What do we expect from ourselves? Because if we the men and we all of this and we the gods and we all, then we have to behave like it. Gods don't, kings don't fight with the queens all day. Gods is not wrestling with the goddesses. It's time to grow up, black males. Yes, Kevin Samuels said a lot of things that hit spot on. But you Negroes fell for the banana in the tailpipe. And it's not even his message, it's the energy. We must understand everything has an energy. It is the energy behind it. Because he spent so much time being sassy and trying to put them in their place and show females the error of their ways. If a person is delusional or delulu, I don't care how much you try to show them, they're not gonna get it. I appreciate it. You know, we've been telling each other about ourselves for a good 5 years straight, 45 years straight. Right? What has come of it? So your answer for what he's saying, and then I read y'all comments, and y'all say the most gay as shit. No, he just taught us our value. He taught us not to take stuff from y'all no more. You needed a man to do this? You needed another man. And then if you really look at his pictures, this dude was part of the pep club. I don't want no pep boy teaching me nothing. He's like MC Gusto from CB4. He came up with a look. He came up with an image, just like old chicken shit Charleston White. They come up with these images because they know how impressionable because we haven't advanced as a whole. We haven't advanced in our mentals, right? So they know out of this worshiping that we love. We love to worship. We love to worship. Everybody looking for a leader. What did Whitney Houston say in Greatest Love? Everybody searching for a hero. Everybody searching for a hero, right? Everybody wants to follow. You got all these leaders that's looking to follow. But before you lead, you must learn how to follow. And you must follow proper before you can lead, right? But they know those things. They know the condition of their people. They know how we're so bad looking for somebody to lead us and give us this hope. That's how we keep falling for it. And how can we hold Charleston White accountable for the things he said? How can we really hold Vlad accountable? All these people, all these black folks go on Vlad stuff and just open up their mouth and just say all this stuff. And who is his bottom bitch? Lil Boosie. Goes on his show and says the most ignorant things as a representation of black men. What should be the consequence for these type of things? Should there be? Real questions. Should there be? And if not, where does that leave us? Make sense? But yeah, I'm about to get up out of here. I appreciate it. And I might come back because I just make these. I just continue to make these. But what I want us to understand really is we are the catches. There's no man to catch, the woman to catch, collective we are to catch. Our power. Our fear that we strike into them. Just even when they think that we're about to get it together. It strikes a fear in them that's so insane. And we have to understand that. We have to understand where we are on the chessboard and not fight over the chess piece. Good God Almighty. That even turned to a thing. Who is the most important? The king or the queen? And the Negroes, they want to give a whole lesson about how unnecessary and how expendable the queen is. And you can always get you another one, but you can't. Here go this mental homosexuality that I talk about. Because some way it's going to come back to y'all protecting the penis. And like I said on my post, any dude that's feeling sorry and making excuses for a Diddy, that's power bottom energy. And have you ever been swallowed up? It just is. But how could a dude that has done the things that have the reputation that he have still get the support? And last point, I know I said the other one was the last point. I was looking at something earlier, and Gene Deal, which was their bodyguard, Gene Deal, his story hasn't changed from the start. Gene Deal and Jaguar Wright has been exposing and telling the truth. Y'all don't like truth tellers. Gene Deal said, and he's not saying allegedly, he's saying matter of factly, that when Jay Prince, Irv Gotti, and Suge Knight was trying to get this collaboration together, it was Diddy and Jay-Z that sabotaged it and went and told Massa what was going on. So let's give his brother Gene Deal some credibility and say that that's true. Are we pulling a black man down that has sabotaged black progress? Hmm? He sabotaged Black progress and Black development, but we're pulling them down. Come on, we got to grow up. You have to grow up in these excuses. You have to grow up in your mental attachment to these people. These people are not of us. They have made deals. They have signed oaths. They have done all kind of things that you know it. You know it. But accountability is responsibility, right? So that's about it. I'm not gonna because I can't keep going, and I want people to really enjoy the video, so I try to keep them as short as possible. But I appreciate it. Um, I appreciate the person that commented. Salute to you if you still listening. I see people still listening. I appreciate that. Listen, whether I got 2 ears or whether I got one or whether I got none, I'm making an impact. It's not about the numbers. We get so caught up in these numbers. We get so caught up in people, are they paying attention? Listen, if it's just you and you speaking, somebody hears you. What they say on that show, big brothers are always listening. Somebody hears you. And you're making an impact, whether everybody likes it or one person like it. Guess what? Somebody like it. Peace.